The thickened plot thickens even further. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hopefully your weekend's getting off to a good start. The whole Cuomo family are scumbags. This we knew. CNN's Chris is slammed for covering for his brother Andrew by ignoring his nursing home deaths cover-up, even though his colleagues have turned on the governor. Chris Cuomo notably failed on Friday night to address the scandal of his brother. His CNN show Cuomo Primetime did not mention it. Unlike colleague shows, Chris Cuomo was attacked on social media for ignoring the high-profile saga. Governor Andrew Cuomo was at the White House on Friday to meet Joe Biden. It'd be funny if they were talking about a pardon already. If somehow Andrew were to go down for something, he's saying, hey, Joseph, could you have that pardon lined up for me? And please don't wait till your last days of office. We need that pardon cracking right now. I'm having some fun with it. I don't know that anything would ever happen to Andrew based on everything we've seen so far. And keep in mind that at one point in time, this guy's name was being floated as not only a potential future person running for president, potential presidential candidate, I should say, but somebody who had their name thrown around in connection with the Biden administration for attorney general. Interesting, right? He was there to discuss 19 relief and refused to answer questions. Mr. Cuomo, Mr. Cuomo, Mr. Cuomo, what about all those people? No comment. He was... Thursday, a bombshell report showed his team covered up nursing home deaths. Thursday? Wasn't that last Thursday? It seemed like I talked about this. New York State Assembly is considering rescinding Cuomo's emergency powers. He was granted in March powers to manage the pandemic. It expires April 30th. Melissa DeRosa, Cuomo's top aide, admitted Thursday they hid data on deaths. So that's what I said. We already knew about the whole situation where things were covered up. That story broke 2 weeks ago. Admission. How blatant, how stupid can you be? You can point a finger at Cuomo, but this DeRosa woman, she should be looking for a new job by right about now, the time you're watching this video. She was on a call to state Democrats, obtained by the New York Post. State Democrats had asked for the exact figures for nursing home deaths. DeRosa said at the same time the Trump administration was investigating, she said, and basically we froze and kept the information secret for months. Bipartisan calls are growing for Cuomo to be prosecuted over the cover-up, and that's what we care about. Any issue can become partisan. Trump's impeachment, Marjorie Taylor Greene bringing impeachment articles against Biden, yeah, tit for tat, right? When you get actual bipartisanship, though, that's when you know somebody really effed up. Or CNN hosts actually covering this story, then whoa, they couldn't find a Trump story, something to cover? Jake Tapper tweets out, the story keeps getting worse for Andrew Cuomo on COVID-19. Can you imagine the conversations that must be had in the hallways between Fredo and his co-workers after they actually covered the story? Tweet here, some big news coming out of New York State, something about the governor and killing senior citizens. You might want to look into that, Mr. Reporter. Speaking of trusting data and governors, how about the governor in New York, at Andrew Cuomo? Scumbags, the whole Cuomo family. Sorry, Fredo, you're not getting off the hook here. I gotta say, I'm disappointed by you not mentioning the news on COVID in New York. Is your brother off limits? TP? Yippee? When it seems he did something wrong. At Chris Cuomo, I noticed no mention of the news about your brother on your show tonight. How convenient. Let's see if at Lemon mentions it. At Don Lemon. In May, the brothers were criticized for making light of the pandemic. After Andrew Cuomo appeared on Fredo's show, the governor recounted how he was tested for CV on live TV during his daily press briefing on Sunday, leading his brother to joke he had a big nose and required a baseball bat-sized nasal swab for a test. That's pretty funny. The View host Meghan McCain led the criticism on Twitter saying, I'm not sure I'm going to ever be able to buy a crib or baby clothes For my first child in a store, most of my friends are jobless, petrified, and dealing with depression, and Janice Dean lost both her mother and father-in-law due to COVID within a week of each other. This is hilarious, guys, she added sarcastically. I get it. It hasn't touched me in any particular way like that, so I get it, but I don't want to be that type that tries to make a mountain out of every molehill. In some ways, I get what they were trying to do, but in hindsight, obviously you look back. Well, I've always said that both of them were dirtbags, but definitely now in hindsight you look back and say, these idiots knew what they were doing. Or should we say Andrew knew what he was covering up at that time, I believe, right? Briefly, the numbers here. New York's State Department of Health had to reveal the true toll among nursing home residents. That was 12,743 rather than the previously acknowledged 8,711. Regardless, the fear and the anger should have always been there from both sides. And it was only there particularly from one side. So now it takes this to kind of get people to say, well, maybe these additional 4,000 people. What about the 8,700 people previously? You should have been mad about that already, but I'm sure most of you are. Allegedly, a growing number of Democrats are joining Republicans' calls for a revocation, including New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. On Friday, 14 Democratic New York State senators joined Republicans in calling for Cuomo's pandemic emergency powers to be rescinded. Without exception, the New York State Constitution calls for the legislature to govern as a co-equal branch of government, they wrote. While 19 has tested the limits of our people and the state, and early during the pandemic required the government to restructure decision-making to render rapid, necessary public health judgment, it is clear that the expanded emergency powers granted to the governor are no longer appropriate. And it took them only about, let me check my watch here. What? It says what? My watch says you're about 7 months too late for that. The pushback obviously would come at this part here, where they say, early during the pandemic, it required the government to restructure decision-making to render rapid, necessary public health. That tells you something. That tells you that these individuals played a part in this. I'm not saying that they have the culpability that Cuomo did, but they were the ones who gave him the power to do this. They can sit there and feel guilty now. I'm sure a lot of them probably do. And I'm sure a lot of them probably wish that they hadn't made that decision, but you guys gave this guy more power. All of you who voted for this to allow further power, or consolidation of power, I should say, in decision-making, you fucked up. Big time. There obviously should have been more of a divested power base. And I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking it, but the divestiture of power could have possibly prevented an idiot from making an idiot decision. What do you say? I mean, it's unfortunate. He did it. He did it, and now you feel guilty. In March 2020, the state legislature granted Cuomo emergency powers to address the pandemic, effectively allowing the governor to change any local or state law with the stroke of a pen. As of last week, Cuomo had issued at least 94 executive orders. According to WGRZ's, Biden's even impressed by that. On Friday, Senate Majority Leader Senator Andrea StewartCousins, a Democrat, released a statement slamming Cuomo and stated that the next steps would be discussed at a conference. Crucial information should never be withheld from entities that are empowered to pursue oversight, she wrote. This was always about getting the truth and allowing information to guide our response. That is why we had multiple hearings and another hearing scheduled for this month. I guess they got to have a hearing about the hearing and then have a hearing about having the hearing about a hearing, because that's what they get paid for, right? Stay busy. And why we requested this information in the first place. Politics should not be part of this tragic pandemic, and our response to it must be led by policy, not politics. Maybe lead by the science as well. As always, we will be discussing next steps at a conference. So, does anything come of this? Or is it going to be one of those situations where Saturday, it's right now, by Monday, this is forgotten about? Maybe a little bit of chatter happens at the conference, and the vote happens, and he maintains his powers. Is that what's going to happen? Is that what's going to come of this? So there's a couple parts that interest me, and this is DeRosa's admissions, and then individuals on CNN actually covering this. So let's take a quick look here. It says DeRosa admitted they deliberately hid the data from state legislators after the Trump administration began asking questions. The DOJ announced it had opened an investigation on August 26 into the governors of states that it issued orders which may have resulted in the deaths of thousands of elderly nursing home residents. She said state Democrats asked for the data in August, right around the same time. Then President Donald Trump turns this into a giant political football. DeRosa added he starts tweeting that we killed everyone in nursing homes, and perhaps he was somewhat close to the truth. Not everyone, obviously, but politics, huh? Who really played the political card here? He starts going after New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, starts going after California Governor Newsom, and starts going after Governor Whitmer. Trump also, she said, directs the Department of Justice to do an investigation into us, and basically we froze. Because then we were in a position where we weren't sure if what we were going to give to the DOJ or what we had given you guys, what we start saying was going to be used against us. Well, we weren't sure if there was going to be an investigation. That played a very large role into this. DeRosa then asked for a little bit of appreciation out of the context. She then offered the Democrat lawmakers an apology for the political position that Cuomo's order put them in. She apologized, everyone. Okay, it's done. Okay, we're good. All right, thanks for watching that video, everybody. I'm ending it right here. She apologized. We're good. Everything's cool. She asked for a little bit of appreciation of the context. It's just amazing. She told the officials, we do apologize. I do understand the position that you were put in. I know that it is not fair. It was not our intention to put you in that political position with the Republicans. Once again, screw the lives. She keeps talking about Trump and Republicans. This famous quote from Cuomo a week or two ago, whether a person died in a hospital or died in a nursing home, it's people died. People died, he said. Kind of reminds me of that Hillary Clinton statement she made. What difference does it matter now anyway? He got an Emmy. Marjorie Taylor Greene jumping in, everybody. She's back from the dead. Andrew Cuomo has blood on his hands. The Cuomo cover-up led to needless deaths of New Yorkers. Everyone knew were at risk. And Fredo and CNN helped him hide it while laughing about it. Stephen Miller says if Cuomo purposely hid nursing home data, as his aide claims, it's not just impeachable, it's criminal. Well, she admitted it. I don't know what else we need. She'll backtrack it. Don't worry. There'll be a series of tweets. I'm at a loss for words. If they don't resign immediately, it's time for a recall. How have you guys not begun the recall process already or 6 months ago? California, I've heard they've got the requisite amount of signatures to get the ball rolling on Newsom. We'll see whether he survives the recall vote here. Now, I don't doubt that Trump was definitely trying to make it political, given who he targeted. My thought on that would just be Newsom, Whitmer, and Phil Scott, regardless of the deaths, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I may not be fully aware of this, but they didn't have a situation like they did in New York. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not privy to that information, but in California, I don't think I've heard any of that, where Newsom forced sick individuals into nursing homes, leading to a ton of deaths. I just don't think that's happened here. Michigan and New Jersey, just not sure. You can let me know if that happened in those states. I'm not aware of it. I just haven't looked into it. So that's all I got, everybody. We'll just wrap it up here with this. On Friday night, CNN anchors Jake Tapper and Erin Burnett covered the story, with Tapper tweeting that it keeps getting worse, which is what I mentioned earlier. But Chris Cuomo instead dedicated his entire show to Donald Trump's impeachment trial. There it is, everybody. There's nothing else to say. You all know what it is. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend. Don't be a scumbag like either one of these Cuomos. Be well, everyone.